that how you greet folk in this world?
He blocked that.
Deep and rewarding mechanics are the heart of every good fighting game, and SoulCalibur VI certainly has that. But for this series, adventure has always been the soul. That spirit of adventure is most evident in SoulCalibur VI's two story modes. Libra Souls is the meatier of the two and takes inspiration from SoulCalibur II's beloved Weapon Master mode. It's part fighting game, part role-playing game, part Dungeons & Dragons campaign. You create your own unique fighter, embark on a journey that will take you across the world, and along the way you'll cross paths and swords with both named characters and generically named bit parters. Libra Souls tells its story primarily through text, but it's all surprisingly engaging, with dialogue and descriptions setting the stage for the inevitable fight, and even giving its throwaway opponents a bit of flavour. Although you're ushered between main quest missions, various side missions pop up around you, with NPCs asking for a hand solving their problems. The game does a valiant job of world building along the way too, giving texture to its fantasy universe. Completing these side missions rewards you with experience that levels you up, and this is where the RPG hooks are at the strongest. As you grow, you'll be able to use stronger weapons that have different visual styles and properties. Enemies also become hardier, and on top of that, special battle conditions spice up fights. These may make one type of attack more effective while decreasing the strength of another, thus forcing you to diversify your skill set within the battle system. Food can be taken into battle to bestow bonuses such as increased counter damage, a boost to health at the start of every new round, or extra experience for a win, to name a few. You can also visit the mercenary guilds and hire a fighter, outfit them with weapons and food, and then send them into battle to do your dirty work. At best, the AI will secure a victory. At worst, they'll knock off some health from the enemy before you step in. Libra Souls also has decision-making moments, some of which will simply dictate how you act towards a character, while others will weigh your soul towards good or evil, impact the story, and decide how the ending battle plays out. The eventual consequence of your actions is small, but it's a neat way to give you a tiny bit of authorship in the story. The main issue with Libra Souls is the ratio of storytelling to actual gameplay. The mode is very text heavy, which would be less of a problem if its battles weren't so quick. In the hands of a capable fighting game player, many enemies can be dispatched within as little as 10 seconds, which means time spent in Libra Souls is heavily skewed towards reading over fighting. And although the loading screens before and after battles are quite short, they can become increasingly tedious. The mode is also lacking in variety, so beyond the occasional battle condition, it does very little to keep you on your toes. For the most part, applying an aggressive strategy will see you emerge victorious.
It's clear. My fate is mine to carve.
The second mode, Soul Chronicles, features a main story that follows what happens with the legendary Soul Edge, but supplements this with 19 character-specific campaigns, each drilling down on what the main cast are doing while the broader story takes place. Although they're heavily reliant on static artwork, they're fully voiced.
Give me your soul!
And the artwork itself has an eye-catching sketch-like style. Unfortunately, there's a microcosm of Libra Souls' issues here too, as battles can be over within the blink of an eye, and that means more hitting buttons to advance text. Nevertheless, both Libra Souls and Soul Chronicle make for a satisfying single-player offering, with the former lasting upwards of 8 hours, and the latter taking around 4 or 5. Both give you plenty to do and provide you with a comprehensive, engrossing story throughout. By the time they're over, you'll have travelled the world, met a variety of colourful characters and fought all manner of strange beasts. Quite the adventure. The beauty of SoulCalibur's gameplay is in its simplicity, and in that respect, SoulCalibur VI is a bit like rock, paper, scissors. At its most superficial, the rules of engagement are simple, and the pace of battle means decision making is based on instinct as much as considered tactics and being reactive. SoulCalibur VI doesn't demand hours of study and experimentation. You can pick up a controller and feel like you're competent in no time. Although there are complicated systems and techniques to consider, an inability to interact with them doesn't loom over you. Before long, vertical attacks will reveal themselves as powerful but slow. You'll quickly realize that horizontal attacks interrupt sidesteps and are a safe way to apply pressure, and kicks are a nice balance between the two but have limited range. It takes little time to internalize these fundamentals. and so their intricacies become apparent much quicker than in most fighting games. Throw in blocking and movement, both of which are intuitive, and the pick up and play factor becomes a key strength of SoulCalibur VI. There are more complex systems beneath this simplicity though. SoulCalibur VI layers systems from across the series on top of each other, so even veterans will need to examine the individual pieces and figure out how they all fit together. The 8-way run movement lets you modify attacks. These land at different heights, high, medium and low, which in turn makes blocking become a 3-tiered system. More confident players can react to an attack by executing a last second guard impact to repel and leave their opponent open, but a staggered player can retaliate with a reversal impact, which is effectively a reversal. From there it only gets more complicated. Reversal Edge is a special stance that will counter incoming attacks at any height. It's executed with a single button, and the longer it's held the more attacks it can absorb. This makes defending against an onslaught of attacks really easy, but the ease of execution means it also steps on the toes of the more skilled guard impact. Reversal Edge seems to be aimed at casual players, as while a successful guard impact places the initiator at a more advantageous position, Reversal Edge establishes a neutral playing field by initiating a clash. In this, 2-fight is effectively bet on what the other player will do and counter it. This is a useful way to create some breathing room when being smothered, but the guessing game leads to a feeling of randomness that can be frustrating. The workaround here is to simply land an unblockable break attack to stop the Reversal Edge. Beyond that, there are critical edges, which are the game's equivalent of a super move. These are governed by the soul gauge, which is built up by attacking, defending and taking damage. It can be spent on executing this incredibly powerful and outlandish cinematic attack. A soul gauge can also be spent on a soul charge, a comeback state of sorts that opens up a separate set of moves for a character to use. It also powers up normal attacks and makes them cause damage to blocking opponents for a brief period. Those are just a few of the systems in SoulCalibur VI, so for those that want to become students of the game, it offers plenty to learn. However, at times it can also feel needlessly complex. This is likely a symptom of creating a collection of systems that give hardcore fighting game players the depth they crave, while also enabling casual players to stand their ground against them. The end result is a construction that is at odds with itself, with the simpler parts undermining the complex ones. And although it works, it's inelegant.
Simple no. Time to end you. Depart this life.
From a network perspective, SoulCalibur VI's online modes felt stable and consistent. We played a number of matches in ranked and had no trouble finding other players, connecting and having smooth fights. It offers ranked and casual modes and a replay mode where you can save your own fights or favourite battles members of the community at large are having to watch later. Overall, SoulCalibur VI's online suite is fairly no frills, sticking to the basics but doing them well.
Stay down. Fight properly.
SoulCalibur VI is a fighting game that's easy to recommend. Like all the best titles in the genre, it has a low barrier to entry and a high skill ceiling. For those looking to get in a few games with friends, it's welcoming and immediately enjoyable. But for those committed to ploughing the depth of its systems to get tournament ready, it has plenty to unpack and understand. Better still, anyone who wants to play alone will find SoulCalibur VI has some of the most substantial single player content in any fighting game today.